Hey Guitar Geeks, Guitar Guts back with some advice for first-time guitar buyers. We're talking about bare bones gear for the first-time buyer that doesn't have a lot of money to invest. I see a lot of students coming through the high school and the guitar club that I teach after school, and some of them have sunk all the money that they've made at a part-time job into a guitar and amp combo. And a lot of times they end up with a guitar that's just not playable or an amplifier that doesn't do what they want it to do. And it sort of breaks my heart to see them sitting there and struggling with a guitar that's just never going to be what they want it to be, and a lot of times giving up on playing guitar because it's such a frustrating experience. So I hope some of the tips I've got here for you can help you avoid that so you have a good experience when you first start playing guitar, because the world needs more guitar players. The first thing that students usually concentrate on is the guitar that they want. And a lot of students fall victim to the really low-end guitars that are usually Stratocaster copies with 3 single coil pickups and a tremolo system in it. Now that can be a really good setup if it's a decent guitar, but when you get down to the really low end of the market, the pickups are not really going to sound like anything you want to play. The tremolo system is not going to be stable. The tuners won't stay in tune. A lot of times it has neck and fret issues that just make the guitar completely unusable. The guitar I've got here is a Squier standard Telecaster from the standard line. This one's a Tele Special. I like things like this for beginning guitar students for several reasons. One is simply the hardtail bridge. I see so many of the low-end guitars coming with tremolo systems with springs in the back and a tremolo bar that you can supposedly use to add tremolo effects, but in reality those systems are not made well enough to really use. So what you end up with is something that's unstable and won't stay in tune very well, and is a real hassle when the kids go to change strings, and they don't really need it on their guitar. Hardtailed guitars are much easier to change the strings on. Easier to keep in tune, and they're usually a little bit cheaper when you can find them in the standard lines. This one's also a good guitar because it has a good selection of pickups in it. I see a lot of kids who are wanting to play death metal who start out with their first guitar being something with a single coil pickup in 3 different positions here on the front of the guitar. That's a really bad choice for versatility. I like to see a humbucker in the bridge position because a lot of the kids like metal tones or at least hard rock tones, and you're just not going to get that out of a cheap single coil. Now I know that there are some single coils in the replacement market that can do that, but the kids usually don't have the $100 to sink into aftermarket pickups to replace the ones that are in their guitar. So this one's really good for rock and roll. It's really good for metal. It can do some heavier stuff. The pickup that's in here now is not the original pickup. I've replaced it with a DiMarzio breed that I was just testing. But the pickup that came in this Tele Special is a really good sounding pickup. It reminds me a lot of a Duncan Distortion. It's excellent for metal tones. And then in the neck you've got a traditional Alnico 5 single coil, so you get all your Fender, Strati, Tele sort of tones out of that. And again, it's a cheap pickup in this one. It's sort of an underwound A5 pickup. But this one sounds fantastic. It'll hold its own against some much more expensive Seymour Duncan and DiMarzio and Fender single coils that I have. So this is just a great little guitar, and I think I paid around $120 for it when it was on sale, brand new. Excellent investment. Now, you know, Squier and Epiphone, they do make some really low-end guitars that are, you know, $99 or below. But I think that in that price range, you run into a lot of guitars that are just barely below what you need to really sound good. The pickups are not great. The tuning stability is sometimes really crappy. And it ends up being more of a frustration than anything that you can use and get some good tones out of. But I like the Squier standard line. I like the Epiphone standard line. And there's several others, you know, out there as far as Ibanez and some of the other ones that are really excellent guitars for the money. Amplifiers are something that beginning guitar students usually don't want to invest a lot of money in. They think they can get by with a $25 solid state amplifier out of some guitar pack. But it's as important, if not maybe more important, than the guitar itself as far as your overall tone. And I always suggest to the students to try to find a modeling amplifier. Line 6 makes some good ones. Vox makes some really good modeling amplifiers. Roland makes the Microcube series. Any of these for a beginning guitarist, they'll have something way better than we ever had when we were growing up and practicing on cheap solid-state amplifiers. This little Microcube amp has 4 or 5 different amp models on it. It's got effects like flange and chorus and tremolo. It's got delay and reverb on it. It's got a tuning tone on it, and it can also amplify an acoustic guitar. It's just an excellent way to start. And I know it looks small, but these little things will get up really loud, even though a lot of them are just somewhere between 3 and 5 watts. They can get really loud, surprisingly loud. And if you're a beginning guitarist, until you've got your chops down, you're not going to be playing with a full band, more than likely. So one of these tiny little amps, it's good to travel with. It's good to haul around to your friend's house. It doesn't take up much floor space. And the modeling amplifiers really can turn you on to some tones that you may not be aware of when you start playing, but you may end up liking later. Whereas a solid state amp that just has one trick that it can do is not going to expose you to a world of different tones that you may end up liking. Some of the other stuff you need to pick up if you're a beginning guitarist, you'll need to have a patch cord for the amplifier to go from your guitar to the amplifier. A lot of times, if you ask, if it's a music store you're buying from, or even sometimes online, if you ask, some people have cheap ones that came with guitars just laying around. They'd be glad to give you one. And those will last sometimes for a year or two, and they do just fine. This one was a really cheap one I got on eBay, and it's been going for 3 years now and doing just fine. I get one that was about 5 or 6 feet long, because you might want to move around and stand up near your amplifier. This one's probably not quite long enough. Here's another little bit of hardware that beginning students don't want to buy, but they need to buy the day they get the guitar, and that's a tuner. Students will often buy a guitar and they'll say, I've been playing my guitar all week, but I need to bring it in to you next Tuesday to tune it. Well, guitars don't work that way. If you're playing a guitar, you're playing through a few songs, you're going to need to tune every 5, 6, 7 minutes. Even with a decent guitar, you're going to have to retune pretty often. And if you don't know how to do that, figure it out. There's a lot of videos on YouTube showing you how to tune guitars. Get you a tuner like this and you'll be able to do it yourself. You can't depend on someone else tuning your guitar once a week and think that it's going to stay in tune. And you need a tuner. Ears are good, but and I tune my guitars by ear for years and years, but I never do it without a tuner anymore. I learned that my ears are not that accurate. And you can pick up little tuners like that for, around $10 or so. The other thing you need is a decent pick. The really floppy little nylon picks that come with guitars are, you might as well be, playing with a piece of cutout plastic. They're kind of crap. You need a decent pick with the right thickness for you. You can test around, like with some of these. These are Chromacast. I got these online just because they were super cheap for my students at Guitar Club. I give these away. And they come in various sizes. You can get a whole pack of them for 99 cents, so that's not a big expense. The tuner will run you about $7 to $10, something like that. I got that Tele Special for about $120 some, I think, brand new. And you can find these little Microcube amps or the Line 6 amps sometimes for $50 used on eBay, and it's an excellent bargain. So that's what I suggest for beginning guitarists, but I also play with the students when we have Guitar Club meetings. And I've got some, much higher end amplifiers and much higher end guitars, but here's what I play when we have our meetings. It's another Squier standard guitar. This one is a Stratocaster. It does have a tremolo on it, but I hardly ever use it. At the end of a song, I might use the tremolo a little bit, but I know it's going to throw it out of tune, and I'll tune after the song's over with. The only thing that I've done to mine, I did replace the pickups on it because I want mine to do very specific stuff when I'm playing. So I've got a set of Fender pickups that I took out of an older Highway 1 strap and put in this. But the pickups that came in it weren't bad. And I've still got a couple of these at school for the kids to use during guitar club meetings, and the pickups sound decent. I don't mind a bit to play those when I don't have mine with me. And the amp that I'm using right now is just one of the little Vox modeling amplifiers. I love this one because it has a rhythm section too. I can put drum beats and rhythm behind the music that we're playing so we can practice our timing and whatnot. But it's really no different than the ones that the kids are using that I bought for Guitar Club, the Microcube amps. They're great little modeling amps, and you've got all the tones you can need, from clean tones to rock and roll to heavy metal, right at your fingertips. And it's easy to carry around, easy to pack on vacation or whatever you want to do. Well, there you have it. That's what I think you need as a bare bones setup for playing guitar. Tell us what you think in the comment section. If you have anything to add or subtract, feel free to leave it. And thanks for watching.